Hello, my name is Brian Hunt, and I'm your host for today's show. If you're a fan of movies such as Star Wars and Indiana Jones, then chances are you're going to love the questions I ask my special guests. My first guest for today's show is my history teacher, Mr. Streff. Hey, Mr. Streff, how's everything going?
Well, Brian, how are you?
All right. How were you introduced to Star Wars?
I was introduced to Star Wars by my dad, and I actually remember seeing the very first movie, New Hope, when it came out in 1977, and I managed to see all the rest of the films with him.
That's very cool. I actually have a similar experience with my dad
Yeah.
on the Avengers movies.
Nice.
Every year we'll go to one of those and see them in the theater.
Excellent, excellent.
It's always nice spending time with your dad seeing a
Absolutely,
movie.
no question, no question.
Okay, second question. What makes you love Star Wars so much?
I think I love Star Wars so much for some of the reasons we were kind of just getting into, where I was introduced to it by my dad. It's something that we've shared. They came out to when I was a pre-adolescent, so the first movie came out when I was about 4 years old, and I've been able to sort of grow up with it, and now I've introduced my kids to it as well. But I think the stories of Star Wars are very much universals. It combines elements of history and mythology and religion, and I'm not a huge science fiction fan, but I really enjoy the elements that George Lucas and the other creators of the films kind of put together to sort of make these films as appealing to as many folks as possible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I second that motion. The amount of stuff they put in there, like history,
Yeah.
even stuff from the Bible.
Yep, yep.
Like, I remember one day I was at church with my mom. I was a little kid. I saw that in the Bible there was a kid there. Well, there was somebody named Luke, and all I had in my mind was Luke Skywalker.
Right, right. Always comes back to Star Wars in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form.
Every time I hear the name of a Star Wars character, whether it be Han or Luke or something, that character will always pop in my mind.
Yep, got it.
All right, third question. What's your favorite movie in the franchise?
Has to be Empire Strikes Back. I loved it when it came out. Definitely scared me when it first came out, but it's one that I'll always go back to over and over again.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's an amazing one. I mean, that was back when it came out. I can imagine how many jaws dropped in the
Yeah.
theater when the reveal of Darth Vader
Yep.
being Luke's
Yeah,
father.
there were lots of questions that were asked after that.
And as much as I love that one, it's not my favorite. That one has to go to The Force Awakens. That was the first one I saw in the theater, and I saw it twice, and to this day I still love it. And it's just such a great movie.
It is a lot of fun.
It combines elements of old and new, and
Yep.
it's just so great.
That's true.
All right. What's your least favorite one in the franchise?
Would have to be Attack of the Clones. I've rewatched it recently with my eldest son, and most of the movie does not hold up very well. It's really the last 45 minutes to me that's the best, but up until that point, it's almost painful to watch the movie.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I like the prequels, but that's the one I watched the least.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's not awful. I could still watch it for like the end, and
Yep.
there's some cool scenes
Yep.
here and there. But
Yep.
for the most part, yeah, it's definitely the weakest in the franchise. All right. So, who's your favorite Star Wars character?
You know, it's kind of changed over time. I would say that at certain points I've liked Han or Luke, but I'm at the point kind of in my life that I really like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like how Alec Guinness played him in the original trilogy, but also Ewan McGregor does a great job of sort of challenging Alec Guinness's accent, but also giving you a sense of the relationship between young Darth Vader, Anakin, and himself. So I would have to go with Obi-Wan.
Good choice. For me, it also varied. However, it would either go from 3PO or Yoda. But now my favorite character, weirdly enough, is just Chewbacca. I don't know what it is. He's just so cool.
He is a cool character.
Definitely. He's probably the best sidekick in Star Wars, without
Nice.
a doubt.
That's true. That's true.
All right. What's your least favorite character?
Probably from the entire franchise, Jar Jar Binks. Doesn't add much to any scene that he's in, kind of takes things away by and large as well, so not a fan.
Neither am I. But even then, I can't really pick a least favorite. I mean, there's some characters I don't really care for and don't really like,
Yeah.
but There's none that I really despise or hate. For the most part, I love a lot of Star Wars characters.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun folks out there.
Yep. All right. What's your favorite ship in Star Wars?
Got to go with Millennium Falcon, no question.
Same. I love the Millennium Falcon. I wish that was real. If I could, I would fly that.
I used to dream about that when I was much younger than you. So.
You're lucky. All right. So, which movies do you like more? Do you like the newer ones or the older ones?
I have liked the most recent kind of the conclusion of kind of the Skywalker saga, more so than the prequels. But episodes 4, 5, and 6 definitely, as I was saying before, I think have a special part in my life and my relationship with my dad. So, but what's been cool is that the newer films, including Solo and Rogue One, we saw as well. So I've been able to see all of those films with my dad. So all of them have sort of their own special qualities.
Definitely. I love both. And believe it or not, 3 out of the 4 newer ones I have actually seen with my dad.
Yeah.
And he is not a very big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
But 2 of them, particularly The Last Jedi, he really enjoyed. I took him to see Rogue One, The Last Jedi, and Solo. And he liked Rogue One. He really loved The Last Jedi. I mean, he said multiple times after me and him walked out of the movie that he loved it. And then he thought Solo was okay, but I really enjoyed that one.
Good. It's great.
Thanks. So how long do you think the franchise will survive?
I think it's going to go on forever. I mean, I think there's infinite stories that can be told. And George Lucas, over the years, has done a great job of bringing new generations in, whether it's Disney shows, whether it's action figures, whether it's video games. You also have books, comic books. So that I think the possibilities are endless. And I know some folks are complaining about that, but I personally have no problem with that whatsoever. The more Star Wars, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Same. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it'll last for eons.
Excellent.
What's your favorite Star Wars planet?
That's tough. I think I would say Tatooine, just because kind of that's where it all starts. And arguably that's kind of where it all ends as well. I mean, one of the things I love about Episode 3 is that it literally ends with Anakin being handed off to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. And so it kind of goes right back to Episode 4, where Luke sort of is staring at the 2 sons, and it's kind of where the saga all starts. So to me, it's sort of the alpha and the omega of the Star Wars trilogy. And the desert planet in the new trilogy sort of resembles it. Jakku resembles it in some way, shape, or form. So Tatooine.
Good point. For me, it varies.
Yeah.
I love Kashyyyk, mainly because it's the home of my favorite
Yep.
character,
Yep.
and it's just a cool-looking planet.
Yep.
I'm not a big snow guy, but I love Hoth.
Yeah, I like Hoth as well.
I love Endor. That's a cool planet.
Yep.
Kamino's also a very cool planet. That rain planet from Episode 2.
Yep. Yep.
And Naboo's also a nice one. So it varies for
Yeah.
me.
Sort of depends the day.
Yeah. It depends on how I feel.
Gotcha.
Some instances it'll be Hoth, some instances Tatooine or Kashyyyk or whatever.
All right.
All right. Here are the last 2 questions. First off, what's your favorite piece of music in all of Star Wars?
Probably the overture to the music written by John Williams. You know, the sort of iconic theme song to the first. Because again, it brings me back to the first time seeing it, and then one thing I do miss when the spin-off movies, they don't start off with the crawl. Yeah, I love the crawl. I love the music, and in fact, the theme song of Star Wars is my ringtone. As a matter of fact, that's how much I love it. So.
Yeah, that's definitely a great piece of music. I mean, I love that, but that's not my favorite. I mean, I get goosebumps from the opening theme, but there are even better pieces of music, like the theme for Palpatine: Return of the Jedi. I adore.
Yeah.
I adore the theme to General Grievous in Episode 3. I adore Duel of Fates,
Yeah.
aka the theme for Darth Maul
Yeah.
in Revenge of the Sith. Not Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace.
Phantom
Sorry
Menace.
about
Yep,
that.
it's all right.
I love, of course, Imperial March. The Cloud City theme I could listen to for hours. I love the Dagobah theme. Just so many great themes in Star Wars.
Yep.
I don't really think I could even pick a favorite.
Yeah.
And now for the last question. What's your favorite scene in the entire franchise?
Wow. I have to say, I mean, I think Luke Skywalker sort of staring off into the two suns in Episode 4, where he's definitely sort of frustrated by his current life and sort of looking over the hills or like looking into the sky and sort of wishing he was anywhere where he currently is. And it sort of, I think, sort of sets the tone for the rest of the series, because ultimately it's sort of his journey to find out who his father was. The first 3 films is really kind of Anakin kind of finding out who he is. And then the last 3 films are sort of finding out how all the descendants of the Skywalkers are sort of dealing with the ramifications of all that. So to me, that kind of sort of sums up everything. And just, again, the music, the sort of secondary theme from Episode 4, and I think there's some universals where we always, I think anyone can sort of relate to the notion of, you know, not being happy at a particular moment in time and sort of looking into the sky or looking over the hill and wondering what lies on the other side, and maybe someday they'll get over there. So I think that scene is my favorite one.
Yeah, actually, going back to number 4, where you said that secondary theme, in my last question when I mentioned that I had so many favorite themes, that's one of them.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great music. There's no question about that.
By the way, when I said going back at number 4, I meant Episode 4.
Yes.
Which is A New Hope. But favorite scenes? I have so many, just like favorite scores in the franchise. Definitely the Darth Maul duel in The Phantom Menace. That's a great one. There's also the duel in Revenge of the Sith. There's even the creation of Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith. That's a great scene that I've enjoyed ever since I saw that scene when I was a kid. I actually first watched Revenge of the Sith on a bootleg. I kind of wish I saw it in theaters. That would have been even more awesome, but it was still cool to see. And I remember that scene and just how awesome it was. And even though it's a meme now, nowadays, when Darth Vader said no, I always thought that was actually very sad.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, while it is kind of goofy, I will say that it's very goofy and it's somewhat well-deserving of a meme. It is also a very emotional moment.
Yep.
And I think it's even more emotional before he says no, when he's just getting up off of his table or whatnot. He breaks off the thing, and you hear his moaning, and it's just the music, everything about that scene is just perfect. So that's probably my favorite scene. But again, I have so many others. Yep. I love, this is going to sound weird, even though it's a sad scene, but I actually liked the death scene of Han Solo in The Force Awakens. That scene was just so great. It was somewhat expected, but also not expected.
Yep.
Again, very well done music and very well done imagery. Just everything about that scene was well done.